For me, it reminds me of him.
Me as well, actually. Yeah.
We are the meaning of each other.
Yeah.
So it
Because
reminds me of him.
It's remind me of places, and these places I have been to with her.
We travel so much, so it's the meaning that we found in life, and we found it together. I'm gonna cry too.
A meaning forced into any kind of feeling finds life worth losing in itself, as long as life is worth living to die. Death is a meaning which fears everything that cannot better breathe than imagine. All feelings are forced out of all meanings. Love is a meaning which means everything, howbeit truth becomes what it desires.
I think this is super pretty because it really describes how many people think. They overthink their emotions and what it could mean and what implications it could have on their life, instead of really living in the moment and making life worth living instead of, being or interpreting the meaning of it. So I think it's really special, and it gives you a perspective on, life.
Really emotional in a way, but also really clear, like seeing life as it is and seeing how we as human people experience life. This can describe the human experience of life pretty good.
A meaning forced into any kind of feeling finds life worth losing in itself, as long as life is worth living to die. Death is a meaning which fears everything that cannot better breathe than imagine. All feelings are forced out of all meanings. Love is a meaning which means everything, howbeit truth becomes what it desires.
A meaning forced into any kind of feeling finds life worth losing in itself, as long as life is worth living to die.
This reminds me of hard times in my life, but they're worth it because
Death is the kind of thing that will give your life meaning because there's a limited amount of time.
That's what I meant.
To find meaning, to find worth in things that are temporary, you know?
Death has a meaning. We give a meaning to it because we are afraid of it. We are afraid of something that we do not know. And this feeling makes us think what we think about death as something bad, or we give a meaning to everything. And this starts from how we feel about it. And every one of us gives another meaning to the same thing, because this depends on the feeling that we have at the same moment, at the same time.
That a feeling finds life worth losing in itself. I think it's just special because you can get lost in your trains of thought.
Death is a meaning which fears everything that cannot better breathe than imagine. It's a really, tricky sentences.
All feelings are forced out of all meanings. The meaning, like, it doesn't have to be love or hate, or it could be any feeling that you want, that it could be the meaning of your life.
Love is a meaning which means everything, howbeit truth becomes what it desires. It's like love means everything, but at the same time, does it really mean everything? But you do, yes. I don't know. Let me think about that, and we'll come back to that one again. Let me see. Maybe I can do a different one.
With love, you can reach anything. Like if you spread love, you can reach anywhere you want. Like you can go far, you can discover new things. It's a new meaning, so.
What love means for me can mean something different to you.
Yeah.
In every situation, love can mean something different for me. For example, tomorrow, love means something different for me than today, based on a situation.
It makes me think about my life, if I'm living my life right. The purpose of life.
Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing that makes you happy?
It made me think more about my own life.
Grandpas and grandmas talk to you about life, and they try to give you wise advice.
It reminds me of traveling, which is something that I really miss right now. And wherever I'm in a new place, I have a really intense feeling. Sometimes I connect with the people there, or the locations, and then I overthink if there's any way of captioning this instead of living in the moment or taking out my phone, but rather experience the full emotion behind it.
Like this poem, there's a certain darkness to Berlin, given the history as well, but I think the attitudes of people in Berlin, there is a certain morose attitude in the back of Berliners' heads, even in the way they dress or the way they act or speak to each other. It's kind of, there's dark humor or there's this and that, and I think, obviously this poem has a darkness to it, just in the overall discussion of death and finding meaning.
And it's also the whole triad of death, life, and love, which is the three things humans probably think about the most, and it's all intertwined.
The Notebook, the movie The Notebook, where they're going through different situations and stuff, and in the end, they both end up dying in each other's arms after fulfilling everything that they needed to fulfill.
A meaning, forced into any kind of feeling, finds life worth losing in itself. As long as life is worth living to die. Death is a meaning which fears everything that cannot better breathe than imagine. All feelings are forced out of all meanings. Love is a meaning which means everything. Howbeit truth becomes what it desires.
Well, I really like it. I also feel it's a little bit abstract, and I had to read it more than once to really get it.
A canter and rhyming scheme almost, which is good because it makes it it kind of rolls off the tongue a bit when you're reading it, which I like.
The structure is very interesting too. It's very modern and cool.
And the first, the lines that are furthest to the left, if you're actually physically looking at the words on the page, those are kind of the themes of the poem. Meaning, feeling, death, love. The first words you kind of see on the lines that are separated are almost the themes themselves, which is kind of spatially is cool.
I see that meaning, feeling, death, feeling, love is all on the left side, and on the right side is the description or the continuation of this word.
Well, on the page it's pretty small in the center of it, and it's separated. Every sentence is pretty much separated into different parts, so you can't just read it as a flow, but you have to pause and maybe think about what the previous word was, so you make those connections in your brain yourself.
Well, you have a meaning, and then you have forced into any kind of feeling, then finds life worth losing in it itself.
Yeah, and just this disconnect and then reconnect I think is important in the last sentence, in the middle sentence, or actually not broken up, so maybe that also gives it a different structure.
It seems like the only ones that you have that are complete line to line is one that starts with death and then one that starts with love, and then you have meaning, feeling, just out there, so that you can you see it, a meaning, and it's you keep remembering meaning, and then you read the rest of the line.
Everything and imagine doesn't rhyme technically, but it's easily read through.
It doesn't go as one text block, but it's kind of with distance some words to others. It's almost like music basically, because the way you read it, it has this rhythm, and it makes you focus on some words and lines more than others.
The picture works with the poem because it kind of shows your crumbed up trains of thought that could sometimes be a mix up in your brain, and then so kind of like a baby pretty much, like an embryo, and it's life.
I see a baby.
Baby?
I see baby feet. I think it's a baby in mom's, how you say?
A fetus.
Yeah, I saw that first.
Almost.
But I see that it is an naked man, contorting in itself, but it's life and meaning and death and all that, as we talked about.
If you're discussing, death and life, and inherently you're going to have to discuss, the birth of life itself, and if it looks to me it kind of looks like a fetus, i.e. a human in creation, then
oh my god. So I can, on first sight again, I can see.
Oh, it's a baby. That's a baby.
Ah, I thought there's 2 feet.
But I can see a baby here. There's this feet.
But then if I look at it like this, it also kind of looks like an organ, like a heart. I don't know. A heart. Well, honestly, my first thought was it's like the picture of a fetus.
It reminds me of the ultrasound of a baby. So like the first time you see a baby, the beginning of life, to think about what's really important, because I think if you see your baby for the first time in your life, like you really get a sense of what's really important in life.
I see a baby, which for me represents life, a starting of life. And to just conclude it, that means for me that every one of us gives a meaning to life. Life has no meaning by itself, but we give it.
I think it's not a baby, it's like a human being, like a foot.
A baby is also a human being.
Yeah, I mean, not a baby, just a man or a woman.
Actually, it's me. It's a picture of me.
No way.
Yes.
Wow. But I know, I can't. So beautiful. It's life. It's you. You're alive.
Could I say the truth? I didn't understand it. Really. A single sentence, no. I didn't understand a single sentence of this poem, to be honest.